Why do you think we fail at trading?
Well, education is one. And then I think people don't have a lot of patience. Anybody, in my mind, can do anything they want to do and they will figure out a way to make it happen. So I really think it's about the desire. And anything else that we want to do, we figure it out, you know?
That's true.
How bad do you want it? And what sacrifices are you willing to make in order to get it?
How do we know that what we're being taught is bad information?
Every piece of information can be a building block to get you to where you want to go. If you take the information and you try to execute, or you try to pull from it something that makes sense for you, and you're not able to successfully execute or even understand the concept, then you need to move on to something else, because that just doesn't resonate with you.
How much data does one have to collect until they switch some things up or just ultimately pull the plug?
I know some people say like 90 days, but truthfully, like given responsibilities that people have in life and just everything else going on, I would say at least 8 months to a year. And I know that seems like a long time. It took me at least a year for everything to start clicking and making sense.
Today's guest, back again for another tour of the Trail 5 of Miami, back on the Forex Beginner Podcast. We got Casey Jackson in the building. What's up, Casey?
Hey, Calvin. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
It's a privilege to have you. And you can look at me.
Okay.
Yeah, you look at me. She look at the camera. She don't know what to look. You can look at me. We're here. We're just talking. Listen, we're allowing them to witness
our conversation.
This reunion. Yeah, exactly. We are back. Okay. We're talking trading. We're talking everything.
Okay.
What's poppin'?
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be back and see what's going on in Miami and talk with you again.
Listen, first of all, I want to say thank you. I already told you thank you, but I want to say it on camera.
Yep.
Thank you for coming back. You didn't have to do it. She flew all the way from Detroit, y'all, and she's here. I appreciate that. Thank you. And also, thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for letting me know that this platform has value. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
It's the truth. It's the honest to God's truth.
I appreciate it. So, last interview we did, to the moon, over 100K views, all of that stuff. How has the response been for you from that?
Overwhelming. Overwhelming, but a lot of people got value from it, and a lot of people seem to be able to relate to, you know, I don't want to say my story, but I guess my journey as far as trading and still working a regular job. And they say they got value from it. So I am grateful that you invited me back so we can continue the conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if people don't know, you do have your hands in multiple things.
I do.
Right. So let's just talk about okay, I don't even want to say what you do for a living.
Okay.
Because I just think that, like, from my perspective, that you just do you.
Yeah.
And all those things are like just variations of you. But what are some of the areas in life where your time is diversified in? Let's put it that way.
So I work in economic development, which is what I shared last time. And so for the city of Detroit, and specifically real estate development, I help to support neighborhood developers, turning, I would say, commercial property into like mixed use property, so residential and retail, and help them find the financing in order to be able to do it. Because deals in Detroit are very difficult to do because we have a limited labor pool for skilled trades, and then the cost of money is really high. So you have a lot of deals that have several sources of capital in order to make it work. And so we help them source that capital and then help them facilitate conversations with city council to get support for their deals and tax incentives and things like that. So I do that. And I got my start in real estate, period. As a real estate agent, I decided to sell houses when I could not get a job right after college. The market was crazy. And so I sold houses for about 9 years and then decided to go back to school to get the master's in urban planning to be able to do what I do now.
That's fire.
Yeah.
And you are a trader.
I am a trader. Yeah. I started the journey September 2017. So it's like the anniversary now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, this perspective of I want to quit my job, I just want to trade and all that stuff, that never enticed you. Why?
No. I think I learned as a real estate agent and working 100% for myself that in order to stay on track, I had to have things to do. I needed structure, right? And so I found early on that when I did not have responsibilities, I would just like, I don't want to say I'm not driven, but I'm not staying to course on what I need to do. So I learned that I'm most productive when I have other things that I have to answer for or do. And so for me, not only that, Detroit and contributing to the revitalization of the city has always been important to me. And I know that I did not want to give up the opportunity for the Mama I Made It job, working in economic development for the city of Detroit, to trade. And that's not to say I don't enjoy trading, because I do. I just had to figure out a way to make it work for what I already had going on.
I love that.
Yeah.
In the last interview I did, I was talking about, I brought up that it really does make life easier when you just have multiple things that you do and that you do well.
Yeah.
And they all reward you simultaneously at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And it's less of a stress when one thing fails.
Very true.
So
that's true.
Yeah. So talk about that.
I definitely think that's true, because if I had to depend on trading to work for me full time, or if I was selling houses full time, like, you probably gonna make some choices to do some things that you would not typically do if you didn't have that added pressure. So meaning in the trading sense, I might be a little bit more aggressive and, take setups that I know ain't gonna work because I know I gotta pay the light bill, or I know I gotta pay my car bill. So you are 100% correct in the fact that it lessens the stress of being able to, you can move stress free. You can, it's not a lot of pressure. And so you probably perform better because it's not a lot of pressure. So, I agree with you. I do. I didn't even, consider from that perspective, but you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For you mentioned this on the last interview, how you kind of view trading as kind of like your retirement account, basically, right? What goes into that thinking? So let's pull back. You are what type of trader? You're a swing trader, intraday, or a scalper first?
Well, working full time and keeping up other stuff, I got a swing trade. Okay. And I enjoy it because I think I trade better that way. It's less pressure.
Perfect. When you're swing trading, how long on an average trade do you hold that trade?
It depends, but I like to go for at least 100 to 150 pips, and depending on the pair, that can take, a week to play out. If you trade like GJ, that thing move. That could be a day. So it really depends on what setup I'm in, but I would say on average at least a week. I think the longest trade that I've held has been about 3.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Now I can go back to my point I wanted to make now, because I just want to lay that out.
Okay.
Right? So because you're swing trading and your average trade, about a week to take profit.
Yep.
It's easier for you to kind of view your results on a long-term basis.
Yeah.
As a quote unquote retirement account versus if you're a scalper.
Yeah.
And I'm a scalper, I'm in the market every day, hunting my setup out.
Okay.
If I take a loss this week, so I have 3-4 losses this week,
you're gonna feel it.
It's hard for me to see that account as, you know what I mean? My future, because I'm ruining my future because I'm in the moment of that trade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a little harder. But how have you adapted your mindset to think long term? Have you always been that way, or did this start specifically with trading? You started thinking long term?
I would have to say that, given the type of household I grew up in and the parents that I have, decisions that were made were always encouraged to be thought about. What does this look like, 5 years from now? What does this look like, So I would have to credit my parents for getting me to start thinking like that. But for me, I saw the power, even just getting started. I'll say when I first started out, I was learning from a group of people that were teaching scalping. My cousin still scalps to this day, and he works a full-time job. I don't know how he does it, but it works. But I was staying up late, and it wasn't I was trying to stay up late, trying to study. I was in grad school at the time, and it was not working for me. And so I knew that I wanted to continue to trade, and I knew that the power of the investment vehicle and what it had. Like, if I can figure out how to make this work for me, this can be beneficial long term for me. And so I started reading books about trading, and I'm like, oh, well, when I started using Fib, and I'm like, oh, just go to the higher time frame, you can find similar setups. They're just longer and they take longer to play out. And so I'm like, this is the way that I need to do this. This is the only way this is going to work for me. So as I changed over to swing trading, I'm like, yeah, this can play out long term. Because now when I sit down on the weekends and I mark up charts, I only got to find, a couple setups, set up a few positions, go do what I do. And then it might be a week and a half, before I have to reevaluate and find something else to do. So it works. And, like I said, I'm figuring out how can I make this work long term. And I saw people who had invested in like the stock market when I first got out of college. I'm like, there has to be a way that you can turn this into, a long-term investment vehicle.
Yeah. When you thought about trading and adding that into your wealth diversification portfolio, so to speak, right? What concerns did you have, like when you first decided that you were going to use this as a part of your wealth building plan?
What concerns?
Yeah, if any, because maybe there weren't any concerns.
I would say that I'm pretty not as conservative as a lot of folks in my family. So I don't want to say like I am the risk taker, but I am. And so either it was going to work or it wasn't going to work, and I don't think that I necessarily was concerned about it not working because I saw it working for other people. It was just, how do I make it work? So I don't think I can say that I had any major concerns, because I look back over the course of things that I've done and that I've tried in order to try to add to what I have. Mm-hmm. And I understand that, it takes money to make money. You're going to lose some, you're going to win some, but after a while you do have to evaluate and say, yes, this is working, or no, it's not working. What can I tweak to fix to make it work if it's not?
That's good. How far along would you say a person needs to give themselves the room to figure out maybe if it is working or not working? Like, how much data does one have to collect until they switch some things up or just ultimately pull the plug? Like, what do you tell some of your students?
Hello traders, I'm Bernd Skoropinski from Online Trading Campus, one of the few trading educators who verify trading results with prop firm payments and my FX book. Whether you are a beginner or looking to advance, our unique set and forget method using proprietary indicators means less screen time and more freedom. I'm the all-time record holder at FTMO, and I generated over $1 million with prop firms. Feel free to book a call with Online Trading Campus to discuss how we can help you improve your trading skills and learn more about our system. Now, back to Calvin.
What do I tell them?
Yeah.
It's funny because we literally just had this conversation in my Discord maybe about 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. There was somebody who was saying like, oh, I'm not seeing results yet. And they've been trading for like a month. And it's like, you don't know anything about anything yet, So I would say realistically, I know some people say like 90 days, but truthfully, like given responsibilities that people have in life and just everything else going on, I would say at least 8 months to a year. And I know that seems like a long time, but I'm thinking about when I was going through grad school, when I was trying to learn how to trade, it took me at least a year for everything to start clicking and making sense. Like, oh, that's why you have to do that, So it took me some time to be able to understand and recognize patterns on my own, not what a book was telling me or someone was advising me. Like, what did I consistently see in the market? And so what I tell people is when you have more blue days than red days, that's when you're ready to really kick it up a notch. But it's important to journal and log like what you're doing and what, why you're taking a certain setup, what you saw on the time frame. This is how you're going to execute so that when you see you having more red days, you can say, okay, I didn't do this right. I need to go back and I need to change this. I need to reevaluate. So I would say 8 months to a year. And I know some people probably gonna disagree, but I think you have to give yourself grace, because if you don't, you're gonna put unnecessary pressure on yourself, and you're probably gonna give up faster than you need to before you could really even give yourself room to see any sort of improvement.
That's good. Why do you think we fail at trading?
Why? Well, education is one, and then I think people don't have a lot of patience.
So you don't think that it's just a matter of just for some people it don't work and for some people it do work?
No.
It's either you're impatient or it's either you've been taught the wrong thing.
Yeah. But I'm also of the mindset that anything that I decide to do, I'm going to be able to do it. So for me, sourcing what I need to get in order to make it work, that's what I'm going to do. So if it takes me forever to make that happen, then that's fine. But I understand, the power of what this could be, So I don't think that for some people it doesn't work just because, and I'm thinking of somebody in my mind right now, a family member who started out with me 7 years ago, and they didn't put forth the effort. They didn't put forth the time. And, this is just too hard, But it's like you ain't even really tried to dig into it, Because truthfully, anybody in my mind can do anything they want to do, and they will figure out a way to make it happen. So I really think it's about the desire.
How bad do you want it?
Yeah, I really do. Because in anything else that we want to do, we figure it out,
That's true. Yeah.
So how bad do you want it, and what sacrifices are you willing to make in order to get it?
Yeah. How do we sniff between good information, bad information? How do we know that what we're being taught is bad information?
I think that's trial and error. And I think that as you, I'm just thinking back to my own journey and my own process. And, I get some people who contact me like, I've spent money on courses before, it didn't work. And I don't necessarily think that there's bad info. I think that every piece of information can be a building block to get you to where you want to go. So I don't want to say bad info. Yeah, I don't like that. But I think everything can contribute to your own personal style, your own process. But I think that if you take the information and you try to execute, or you try to pull from it something that makes sense for you, and you're not able to, successfully execute or even understand the concept, then you need to move on to something else, because that just doesn't resonate with you. Yeah.
I have seen where you start with one way of trading. You learn one methodology. And you just get to the point where you be like, I'm just tired of putting money in the market off of this way of approaching the market, because it's just not working. Then you try to, or rather you go get new information, you learn that new information, but now you're starting to build new information on a foundation
that wasn't strong.
It wasn't solid, it wasn't good. And so you just end up all over the place, right? Have you been there? And how did you tell yourself, I'm letting go of this stuff that didn't work, and I'm going to apply this new stuff that I'm now learning? How did you do that? Because you say you started off, on shaky foundation. So how do you do that?
I did, but even now, I look back. So I think I told you last time, I don't use EMAs. I don't use because it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, you got to wait till what, cross what, and then do what? I don't see what y'all seeing. Yeah. But now, as I've learned more, I'm like, I could see how I could add this in to make it even better for me. So I get what you're saying about shaky foundation, but I still believe that there is something in everything that you can take and apply and learn. And though it may not be relevant specifically at that time, I think as you continue to build that, you'll see, or it'll show itself to you, like how you can factor this information in or how it makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
No. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm following you. What truths have you learned about the market?
What truth?
What truths? So, for instance, a truth that I've learned about the market is that just because last week was great, coming into Monday morning, Monday ain't trying to hear about what last Friday did, right? So that's a truth that I've learned about the market.
Okay. I got you.
It just is what it is.
I got you.
So what truths for Casey, like what things have really set home that the market has taught you?
Okay.
Nobody has said nothing. It's just a truth that the market has just shown you to be true. What are some things that you've learned?
That you're not always gonna be right, and people expect it. Like, oh, I tried the strategy. This, like, I guess, kind of what you're saying. Like, oh, I tried the strategy, it didn't work. Oh, but last week it worked on this pair. So I think it's kind of similar to what you're saying.
Yeah.
But people have to give themselves room and give themselves grace. Yeah. And I don't think that enough people do that. You just expect perfection or for you to be able to perform all the time. And it's not going to be like that. Like some days you may be like a sniper and get, some major move. I've even had it happen where I was able to see, a 600, 700 pip move in the market. And then I go back and I analyze the chart maybe, a month later and I got it completely wrong, so, but I don't think anybody is ever going to be 100% right. Because if that was the case, everybody would be trading.
Would be winning.
Right.
Yeah, everybody be winning too. Yeah, all the time.
But that's when it's important to understand, your risk and how to play the game so that you can stay in the game. Yeah.
That's a truth right there.
Yeah.
That's a truth right there.
I got you.
You got to learn how to play the game to stay in the game.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So let's talk about risk. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Let's talk about risk, right? So for you, and you don't have to give no, specific percentages, nothing like that. But for you, when do you know that you need to pull risks all the way back? Like, how many losses do you need to incur, or how much? When do you know that, okay, I need to pull risk back?
I don't think,
or however you view it, give me your philosophy on that.
So the way I set up, it's a very, it's a process and it's a calculation that I use to determine how I'm going to enter a trade. So It's all based off of the stop loss. How many pips are in the stop loss? How big is my account? And what is it that I want to risk on the account? Is it 1%? Is it 0.5%? And then that determines what position I'm going to take. Given everything that's happened over the past year and trading my own money now, I think I'm a lot more conservative because I don't have that cushion, that I had last year. So to be smart, I'm learning that it is better to go slow and to build from there rather than to say, forget it. I'm just going, let's put a standard or two, So I'm much more conservative these days than I used to be, for sure. But it's I'm trying to think of the word. It's a process and it is a calculation. Like I put together a calculator so I can know each and every time what I need to do based on the setup. Yeah.
Walk me through your process of prepping for the trading week. So obviously you're all hands in with development in the city. You're all hands in with real estate, stuff like that. What's your week like in terms of you're prepping for the market and then you're actually getting an alert to actually take a trade versus when you're closing a trade? Walk us through the process.
So usually on the weekend is when I take the time to go through my pairs. And so I mark up 24 pairs or as close to it as I can. So that might be on Friday while I got my investigation discovery on. I am starting from odd USD and marking up, or if I've marked up something and it didn't play out, then I'm refreshing the entire chart. If the trade is still in play and it's still going according to what I thought it would be, then I just let it go. So what gets refreshed and redone is trades that have hit stop losses. But it might be 8 on, Friday, 5 on Saturday, and then whatever I can get through on Sunday. But the goal is to get through all pairs so that I can understand, the lowest risk and highest reward setup. But it's doing a multiple time frame analysis, and typically my trades are taken off the 4 hour. It is rare that I go down to something lower just because I do like those longer term trades. And I set up, I trade like support, resistance, trend lines, and fibs. And so I mark it all the way out of what I need to see. I do go down to the 15 to find the entry. And so I will set an alert. Hey, when price crosses here, shoot me a text message so I can, go pull it up on my iPad or whatever and see where I'm at and if I want to go ahead and execute. So it's that. Sometimes if I do see something very attractive, and I know for sure that I don't want to miss out on it, then, and I guess this goes back to with your risk question. If I know I don't want to miss out on it, then I may be willing to lose a little bit more because of the potential upside. And I'll go ahead and I'll either put in the limit or I'll execute then and trigger, for it to go ahead on market open and let it play out.
So you mentioned limits.
Yes.
Are you normally taking your setups just through like pending orders, sell limits, sell
for the most part
stops,
yeah,
buy limits, buy stops? Okay, cool.
And people ask me a lot, well, we want to see you execute live. I'm like, I just wrote out and marked up where I was getting in, and it's not because I do other things during the day. It's not like I can just, stop what I'm doing or leave this developer and say, hey, I need to go enter a trade. So understanding what your account can handle as far as like drawdown and potential stop loss, and understanding the potential upside, that's how it's determined. Okay, I can put a limit in here. I do use stops too, but I like limits better. To me, I don't know, it just makes more sense in my brain.
Yeah, because you're getting in at the low part, you know what I'm saying? Or like at that retracement, you're getting in on that retracement.
Yeah. So you've had it come down and then, So it's more comfortable for me to do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do execute sometimes, but it's not as often as I will place an order and just let it play out. Yeah. So, and a lot of people are like, well, how do you know where it's going to come back to? But you could, like, I think I've gotten to the point on the chart, like you can literally see, like,
that intuition, basically.
Yeah, but also even from a technical perspective, using the Fibonacci tool, I understand like when price moves a certain way, that 9 times out of 10 is probably coming back to the 38 to the 50 or the 61.8. So I'm going to put my entry somewhere in here, and then looking at structure, okay, I've decided this is where I'm going to put it,
Yeah. So I used to, I had this strategy that I call my A+ setup.
Okay.
And I traded it for a few months, and so it started off as just me experimenting with something, right? And the results were great, like right away.
Okay.
And it utilized fibs, right? And something about fibs is this, and maybe you can contest to this. And what made me bring this up is because you mentioned like with the fibs, you kind of know where it's gonna go, right? Fibs, in my just experience with them, they make you feel like you can predict the market. Like they really do. Like they make you feel like you know where it's going, you know where it's gonna hit. And so the reason I stopped using that strategy is because I started to get overly aggressive.
Okay.
Because I'm like, man, like it's hitting every time.
Yeah.
-27, it's gonna hit it in reverse.
Yeah.
-6.
So you were using the extension.
I was deep in it.
Okay.
I was deep in it, Casey.
And what happened?
I was deep in the game with it. Like I just kind of, so the big reason was because a lot of those trades were intraday trades.
Oh. Okay.
And I was always thinking about the trade.
Okay.
So I'm in it.
You couldn't focus.
I couldn't focus on other stuff. You know what I mean? I'm always thinking about, man, I wonder if it hit my TP. I wonder if so I'm taking out my phone, I'm looking, I'm just like, I just can't move that way.
Yeah.
So that's when I went back to scalping because it was just in and out. Done. I'm shutting down. I'm moving on my day. But yeah, I was deep in the game with the fibs. Like, I was deep. Listen, so here was my setup. So I'm gonna give you what my setup was.
Okay.
Right? So I would literally do what you're doing. I'll mark up all my majors, all my minors, and I would go through everything, and I would look on the 4 hour, and I would look for trends that were either at a 27, getting ready to reverse, or sitting at a -618, getting ready to reverse. And if I would find something on the 4 hour that was at that, that negative 27 or negative 618, that was going on my watch list. Then I dropped down to the 1 hour.
Okay.
Once price has initiated a breaker structure going the opposite way on the 1 hour, that would be something that I'm looking for as soon as the market opens. Like I'm looking to see that thing happen. So then I would drop down to the 15, put a 15-minute fib on it, and just wait for it to retrace and create a double bottom, and then I would take it the other way.
So
that's what I used to do.
What? So okay.
Yeah.
Because the fib strategy I use is more so like it's retracement and extension together.
Okay.
Right? And so, and they're color coded. So like the 38.2 is red, the 50 is red, the 61.8 is red, 78.6 is green, 8.6, I'm sorry, I got it backwards. 78.6 is blue, 8.6 is green. And so what I do is I'm looking for a pullback at least to the 50% fib, and then I'm riding it to the 618.
Yeah, the negative 618 extension.
Right.
That's what I used to do for my TPs.
So say, So same,
Yeah, like same concept.
I got
same
you.
concept.
Follow.
But it worked.
Yeah.
That's what
That's
my
why
confidence
I swear by
was
fib.
through the roof.
Okay.
But it was just, I'm always thinking about the trade.
Go do something else.
I'm a guy. You know, guys can't really be disciplined, especially around money. Like guys, you know, hey, I want to see my, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I'm a guy. I'm impatient naturally. You know what I mean? I want it fast. You know.
Even with a lot on your plate, like, cause you do a lot too.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on, but trading, I just be, I be hovering over. I put trading. My wife always tell me, listen, all the stuff you telling me, my wife be telling me all the time. Like, listen, man. You gotta learn to just let it happen.
Yeah.
You gotta be patient. Like, you know what you're doing, just leave it alone, and it just go in one ear and go out the other. Cause I'm a guy, and I just don't. And then she always tell me, she say, I be telling you stuff. Okay, for instance, here's the perfect thing, right? Here's the perfect thing. So there's this this local like Christian rapper, right? And so my wife been telling me about him for like probably over a year, right? Like, you should check out this, because my boys, like, we only like to play like clean music.
I got you.
Like good music. So she used to always tell me, look, the boys like this song, listen, but I would never, it would go in and out, right? All of a sudden, I keep hearing this song all over the radio. Maybe you heard it. God is good. God is great.
It's what she told you.
Right? I'm loving this song, right? I'm like, every morning we drop the kids off, it's turned up. The people in the parent line, like, who is that guy? Like, it's up. It's like 7 in the morning. This guy up like that. I'm energy all the way, windows down. We bouncing in the car in the parent line. It's crazy, right? We going to church. I'm bumping the song.
Yeah.
One morning, now this is my wife's first time catching it, but when I'm with the boys, we always bumping this song.
Right.
So we going to church one morning. We were a little late, so I'm like pushing it a little bit on Sunday. And I'm bumping the song. My wife in the passenger side looking like this. Like, oh no, this dude.
I told you.
Right. So she turns it off. And I'm like, the boy's like, Mom, what you doing? Why you listening to it? I've been telling you about him. I'm like, you've been telling me about who? Him. I'm like, that's the same guy. Yes. So anyway.
You got to do it in your own time. I got you.
You know what I mean? But that could be a bad thing.
Yeah.
That could be a bad thing. I could be late on some stuff. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's also been beneficial sometimes.
I get it. I think I'm with your wife. My
mama told me the same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Because, what I found is when I do set stuff up on Sundays, I get so busy during the week. Like, I think I posted one time, I took a position, I think it was NZD USD, and it was on a Sunday I took it. And I forgot I was in the trade. I went back on Facebook and looked like, oh, I posted this. And then it was like Thursday. I'm looking, the trade ain't on the thing. I'm like, what happened? And so I go to the history. It profited, So I think you have to like just do something or go somewhere or work or, clean the house, do something and get your mind off of it.
Yeah.
That's when I'm the most profitable, when I don't babysit.
When you don't babysit.
Yeah. When you babysit, you doubt yourself, and then you get out of the trade and then go back and look like, dang, I was right. What if I would have left this? My account could have increased by, So. Yeah, but I'm definitely with your wife.
Yeah, man. I got to work on that. I got to definitely work on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So When was your introduction to fibs? So you're 7 years in. What year would you say fibs came into play?
So I started out with the trading group, and they were primarily doing like EMAs and
crossovers.
Yeah, that. And then I realized that wasn't making sense for me. So I started buying like all these different books and stuff. And there was a book on Elliott wave theory that talked about fibs. And
was
how
that the one from Proctor?
Yes, Robert Proctor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, oh, this makes sense to me. And so I started trying to find material that I could about Fibonacci. Mm-hmm. And I was already doing support and resistance, like really basic stuff. And then combining it with that, I'm like, oh, this is working, So I would say it was probably about a year in.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So within that first year?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got a nice jump there.
Yeah. But I will still say I hadn't figured out risk. So I didn't learn about risk until maybe year 3.
Year 3.
Yeah. So even though I might have been doing good as far as like the plays and them actually playing out, my risk to reward was all off and all, like you can't make a trade like this off of this size account, so that took some learning. But I think once I got the system together and then once I started understanding the systematic approach I had to take in order for this to work is when things started to change for me.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. So you've been you were introduced to fibs year 1 and you started experimenting, started using them. You've never veered away from fibs from year 1 to now year 7. How important is sticking to one thing in trading?
Strategy. I think you got to give yourself long enough to see if it's going to work.
Yeah. Once you figure out that it works and it's comfortable, it's something that makes sense to you, like you said, how important is just sticking to that?
I think it's very important. Like, you got to give yourself enough time to see that it does work. I'm not one to, and I don't want to say jump from strategy to strategy. Like you're saying, I've been using the same approach. I think what I've done is build off of it though. Because initially when I was using fibs, I was just using the retracement levels. I didn't know about the extension levels until I started digging deeper and trying to find more information about it. And then I could put everything together. So I think that's kind of why I go back to every piece of information has kind of built up to where I am now, whether it was good information or bad information. It's contributed, but I definitely think it is extremely important to give yourself enough time with a strategy where it makes sense to you, or if it doesn't, being able to recognize, okay, I've been doing this for the last 3 months. I'm not seeing any progress and I don't understand how this is supposed to work, saying, okay, now it's time to move on and see if something else might make sense for me. Yeah.
As I've seen, the people like myself that have kind of jumped around with different strategies, it's been more of a slower, gradual
growth.
Yeah, like growth spurt.
Okay.
You experience hits where you'll go from, $1,000 account to 10, 15K, in profits, in a short period of time. And then you'll hit a wall and you'll have a 3K loss day. You know what I mean? Just some random stuff, right? Versus people like yourself that have just, hey, I found this thing.
It works.
I like this thing.
Yeah.
It works most importantly, and I'm going to just keep building on top of that. And so for me, in order to get to where I am now, I had to go through, when I originally got in, I was doing EMA crossover, 15-minute chart, getting slaughtered, you know what I mean, by higher time frames, right? And then to the strategy that really got me into making some money with prop firms and stuff was like just a price action, break and retest, support and resistance, but I was only getting 10 pips. So I was, I got smarter. Instead of trying to hold, I'm getting my 10 pips, getting out, right? But it was only a 1-to-1 risk reward. You got to be perfect, when you're trading 1-to-1s, you got to be perfect to make that profitable over time. I realized that. started adapting the fib strategies, which were super profitable because I was targeting, for 1% risk, I'll target, a 4% gain, 3% gain, right? So it was good, for every, one win, it covers like 3-4 losses. So it's good. But it was me thinking about the charts outside. To now where I'm at now, back scalping, but more on like the terms of the market needs to be setting up a certain way. So the market needs to be in breakout. We need to be at a daily level. So let's go over your head.
I don't do like, and I guess it's more so, but I guess that's different for scalping. So I'm looking for, it's not necessarily that I need to see something up against a daily level or whatever. If price is setting up in, I look for the 618, the 50, or the 38.2 on that higher time frame level. Or a play that I really like is when price stalls at the 118, 127 for a reversal to go back down to the 38.2. So I do like to play that a lot. But I'm not doing, like, that seems like a whole lot of stress. And like,
scalping is stressful at times.
That's like, it seems like you, and I guess because in my mind, and maybe I've simplified it too much, but to me, I'm just going in and I'm looking for something that makes sense.
Correct.
So making sense from the standpoint of, am I at a significant Fibonacci level for me to play it all the way, but those are typically, like, I keep it real simple. I keep it real simple because I couldn't do all of that. Just seems like a lot.
To get to that point where it's like, I had to realize that the scalping for me, like, it gives me, okay, you're done for the day. Like, I'm only in the market, like, I look at the market like 7:30 a.m. just to see what is setting up. Okay. And I'll probably narrow that down to maybe 2 pairs that set up. My entries all take place somewhere between 9:30 and maybe 10:30. Okay. And then I'm done. And then I shut it down.
You trade every day?
I'm in the market every day.
Well, you might not execute every day.
Yeah, but I'm in it every day.
Okay.
But I'm probably executing 4 out of the 5 days.
Really?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. I'll probably take like 1 or 2 losses.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Last week, 1 break-even day, 2 winning days, and Friday was a loss.
And you log everything too?
I have TradeZella. Have you heard of TradeZella? Yeah, so I have TradeZella. Yeah, so TradeZella logs it up. Okay. So I trade a Forex account. Yep. And then I didn't tell you, I trade futures.
I saw.
Yeah. But okay, so back to you. So you got your Series 3 license.
Right, the Series 3. So it's under the National Futures Association, which is the regulatory body for trading, and Forex, that's what falls under it too. And
so it's Series 3.
Series 3.
Okay, Series 3. Okay.
Yep. So that's a registered commodity trading advisor.
Okay.
And it was really me searching for more information about trading. I think I told you the first time I got introduced to the world of Forex through the MLM company, and I was looking for, like, how do I learn more? I know there's more to this. So that's when I started buying the books on Elliott wave theory. That's when I was Googling and researching and trying to find, I got enough of YouTube, and at the time, like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of people on YouTube talking Forex.
Especially that look like us.
Yeah, right. And so I'm like, okay, I started researching and I'm like, I can learn more about the whole industry and how it works, and just by studying for this license. And so through studying for the license, like, it opened up just an entire world for me that I had no idea about. And I mentioned to you before, understanding, how jewelers play into the currency game, and how, if you're importing or exporting a certain good from a different country, how they use currency in order to do that sort of things, or even for like the foods that we eat. So meat producers and, corn producers and all these different things, commodities, so understanding that entire world, that people are using these systems, not just how we use it as retail and trying to make money from it, but for their businesses and for our economies to thrive. And so that was very interesting to me. And then being on YouTube And I guess my cousin laughs at me because he's like, "Ooh, you academics, like you go get a license." Like, but I'm like, okay, well, I don't study for this. Why not? Go ahead and get the license. And so just being in a position to make sure that I am giving information that is, I don't want to say accurate, but I'm within the realm of what I need to be in to be conveying responsibly to people. So I felt like it was kind of important to do. And then on top of that, I'm not even sure how many, can I say this? I'm not even sure how many people of color there are that,
That's right.
So, and then on top of that, women, so that was kind of like a feather in my cap as well. And I'll just be straight up with you on that. So
you're raising the bar. You know what I mean?
You think so?
In standard. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like just setting a higher standard, and we need that as a culture. Like we need to see an example. Same thing you told me. Like this platform is a way that people can see other people that grew up in similar places like them, came from different upbringings like them, in similar situations, doing something that's new.
Yes.
And showing them a path. And I think you're raising that bar.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. And you're adding a level of professionalism to now anything you put your name on.
Yeah.
Your academy, your program, and all those type of things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
But the studying of it, like, and maybe other people knew this, but I didn't know all of that was happening on the back end, like what I'm talking about.
So how do you even prepare to take that test? Like, is there a study book that you read?
Yeah.
Like, how do you prepare?
So I just Googled, and people ask me, they inbox me, well, how did you find what the best school was? And honestly, I just went through and I Googled for Series 3, and it may have been, I'm trying to remember what website that ranked the different courses. I can't remember the website, but I went through the reviews on the different platforms and then just took a risk, Like, I think people often want to know your path so they can follow it exactly. But I think also you have to go by your gut and what you feel, right? So because it worked for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you.
Absolutely.
And you have to go with what you feel is aligned with you and what you're trying to do. So, but yes, there was when did I sign up for that? I want to say it was like in 22. I bought it in January, or no, I bought the course in December of 21. And it was a goal to have it done by my birthday, March. I didn't get it done because I had life and trading and all this other stuff. And then I really buckled down, I want to say around June of 22, and took the test in October. And it was completely self-study. And I think that kind of brings me a little bit to the point of a lot of people are like, courses aren't good because you have to do it by yourself. There's no live teacher. There's no, but I think that there's a path for everybody. And again, while that may not work for you, for some people it does. This was completely self-study. I didn't have a teacher live that I could ask questions to or whatnot. They gave me a book. They gave me online access. And I had to put in the work in order to, understand the concepts, which were completely foreign, completely new. There was a lot of math, and take the test and then, ultimately pass.
How fast do you get the results? Look at me. I'm already talking about
right
how
there.
fast. So it's instant.
As soon as you take the test,
Boom.
So we were in the world of COVID, so they allowed you to do it at home. You had to have
you did it at home?
Yeah. You had to have a camera, though, and there was a proctor that was watching you while you took the test to make sure you wasn't, writing down answers. And as soon as you submit that last question, it thinks, and then it pops up, passed, and that was it.
So you passed the first try?
I did.
Okay, and like, by how much did you pass by?
Like,
was it a lot of points? Oh, they don't tell you the score? It's just pass or fail?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I even asked the man at the NFA, he's like, oh, we stopped giving scores, Yeah. It really doesn't matter. I'm like, it mattered to me.
Right?
I want to know. Yeah.
Call me like, girl, how much you pass by? Oh, girl, I passed by 20 points, 30 points.
But ultimately, the big picture is, yes, it passed.
That's fire. Yeah. That's fire. What's next?
What is next? Yeah. I need to do my 34.
So what does that entail?
So that's specifically Forex. So the Series 3 is like the umbrella. So you cover a lot of stuff and Forex is included in that, but the 34 is specifically Forex. So you're talking about even on the broker side, understanding how that works and how they calculate certain things and how they're supposed to log, regulation on how they're supposed to be doing things. And I have not done that just because life has gotten very busy.
Yeah.
So.
Here's why Blue Guardian is the only prop firm you should consider using for your next evaluation. Blue Guardian gives you the Guardian Protector, which helps you to stop from hitting the max daily drawdown limits, as well as stopping you from over trading in your day. All of that is configurable within your dashboard. At Blue Guardian, we have a Discord of over 10,000 members where you can get help and ask any questions you have about the platform or any issues you have with your trading account. So support is almost instantaneous. And then the most crucial bit is that once you're funded with Blue Guardian, you only have to wait 14 days for your first withdrawal and refund of your evaluation fee. And everybody knows that this is key to being profitable in the prop firm trading business. And if that wasn't enough, you get 85% profit split right from the get-go, which is much more than other competitors. So that's why Blue Guardian really is a no-brainer when it comes to picking it as your next prop firm of choice. Click the link in this video to find out more and get your first evaluation started.
So you recently bought a house.
I did. And I'm wondering if I made the right decision.
Hey, I'm here to tell you, listen, I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, sometimes I just feel like, I think it's a big scam. That's how I feel sometimes.
Why?
Because, man, like, when you think about, like, yes, the sense of, like, owning where you live, right?
Yeah.
But it's just also, like, just, man, I never seen so many different businesses built off homeowners. Like, I'm outside washing the trash can one day because the garbage was just collected, and I told my son, bring the water hose. I'm just, just spraying out the trash cans and throwing some bleach in there to make it smell good, whatever the case may be. And a guy pulls up in a suited up truck, and he's like, hey, just want to introduce myself. I see you out here in the hot sun. You can be enjoying time with your son. You got your son standing out there, right?
Yeah.
It's like, man, if you just pay me $25 a month, I can come every time the trash people come, and I can just come spray down these cans for you, and I'll put some smell good in there, be good to go. I'm like, sure. Another guy, hey man, I noticed your lawn guy not doing so well. Listen, I can do the lawn and I can trim the, the garden and all this stuff. So you got that person. Then the pest control people that I pay to come every month, they spray the outside, they spray the inside and stuff, spray the garage. They sending me this warranty thing about $400 that you need to pay every year. And I'm like, I've never seen so many different businesses built for one customer, the homeowner.
You're right. You are
absolutely
absolutely right.
Huge scam. And then when you look at, hold up, that ain't it. Then when I looked at, I go to pay the mortgage and I look at the whole layout of the payments and how much I'm paying.
I know.
I'm like, bro, I could have just kept renting.
I know.
I ain't gotta pay for nothing breaking.
But no, because, and I don't know if it'll happen for our generation like it did for, I'm thinking back to like my friends and my friends' parents. The house was the investment vehicle to pay for college. The house was the investment vehicle to start new businesses, because you could pull the equity out. Yeah. But I don't know where we are, as far as, I've listened to some real estate experts and they say we're not going to have a huge recession like we did before. So like, are we at the top of the market? Are we going to be able to grow? Because I'm thinking like even the house that I got, I can't imagine it becoming more expensive than, it already is.
Facts.
So if we continue to grow as far as value, I think it's a great investment. But I understand what you're talking about as far as all of the things that you end up paying for. So
crazy. The security camera and the alarm and then the HOA fees, and the HOA, these people, they get on my nerves. It's like they come by and they measure the grass.
They
send me letters for the trash cans have to be put in the back,
They that strict.
away from the road,
The front, yeah.
the same day they come pick it up.
My parents
they ride by.
places
It's
like that.
ridiculous.
Yeah. So it can get expensive, but long term. Remember we talked about long term.
Yeah, there you go, long term. Hey, but I already told you how I see things, right?
Yeah.
Right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Long
I get you.
term, it can be a very, very good investment.
So what made you buy now?
I had been dragging my feet on doing it, and I knew that in the city of Detroit that things weren't going to be the way they are, or the opportunity wasn't going to present itself any longer than a couple more years. I think that real estate is getting more expensive. Interest rates are, although they're coming down right now, it's either one or other. So if interest rates are low, prices are going to go up. If interest rates are high, you may see some sort of relief. But the fact that we weren't seeing relief as far as values were concerned, like in a minute, I'm not going to be able to afford, a house. And then looking around at apartments, and like I had outgrown the space that I was in. Like, I'm not paying nobody $2,000 a month. And I'm sure that might seem like in Miami, that's a little bit of money. But back in Michigan, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money to be paying
Detroit,
rent.
For sure.
I can't paint the walls. I can't hang a picture. I can't hang my like, no.
Yeah.
So for me, it was more so long-term investment, because the area I bought in, I think we'll see some sort of upside. And then two, just feasibility. Like, we're seeing, and I don't know if you guys are seeing it here, but in some of the suburbs around the city of Detroit, we're seeing people who are experiencing like 122% increase in rent.
Yeah.
There's stories of, this guy went viral on Facebook. He was paying $1,200 a month. They sent him his letter. It's like, oh, your rent is now $2,600 a month.
That's crazy.
And they hadn't done anything. So I think it gives you some level of control. Right? So somebody else is not saying, oh, well, we feel like raising, you know what your payment is going to be. Now, taxes can increase, insurance can increase, but likely you're not going to see the same type of increase that you would if a landlord decided to, say, okay, we going up 10% this year,
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. But I think the gap between the have and the have-nots it's going to get harder, So my recommendation, if you are in a position to buy real estate for yourself and not necessarily investment, I would recommend that everybody do it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm trying to, well, not trying to, but I have a plan like to just pay my mortgage off, because I can't, I don't see myself.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I had this conversation with a close friend and colleague before I signed on the dotted line. Like, oh, I'm going to give myself 3 years. Well, why? Like, because, it feels like, how can I say it? Being burdened by debt.
It's the worst feeling ever.
Yeah.
It
and
is.
I understand the function of it. But then the conversation went to, well, what if you need to pull money out and you got to go through the bank? But I understand you probably would just feel a weight lifted off of you and not carrying around a mortgage.
Facts.
And you know what that means. Like a death grip, mortgage means death grip. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so I think it means something about death, and then gauge means some sort of grip.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, that is crazy.
Yeah.
But it feels like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my theory is, I just think, okay, in life, your major monthly expenses is always going to be, for the most part, you're going to have your house payment, healthcare, and your car payment.
Yep.
Those are going to be the three major expenses for everyday people, right? So if you can eliminate the car payment, pay the car off, right? You can be okay with not having the latest car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just being content with what you have.
Yeah.
And if you can, in 3 to 5 years of purchasing a house, pay the house completely off.
Yeah.
Now, your biggest expense now is your health care.
That's it. Yeah. Now you living real.
Now you living really free.
Now you can really go trade.
You can really, you can really, no stress.
Not be worried. Yeah.
House paid for.
Yeah.
Car paid for.
Taxes.
You just pay
at the
insurance
most.
and taxes.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, you have your insurance on the house, insurance on the car, taxes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's a different.
So that's how
position.
I'm thinking. Yeah. So that's how I'm thinking. So my focus has been like, you know, like I want to focus more on just kind of, you know, and I know again it sounds crazy for you, but I do want to start focusing on, since I'm all in the markets right now, let's go for it.
Okay.
Like, let's go for it.
Okay. No,
Let's see if we
I
can
wouldn't say it sounds
knock
crazy.
this house off
Yeah.
in the next couple years.
Yeah.
And then I can swing trade. I hit you up. You know what I'm saying? I hit you up. You know what I mean? You give me a crash course.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we can swing trade.
I respect that.
Yeah.
100%. I don't think it sounds that crazy. You know, I'm a bit of a risk taker, just maybe not as much.
I would start the account off, like if I was really on some like flipping stuff, like I would start it off at an amount that I wouldn't mind blowing.
And that's what it's about, though. Being comfortable with the fact that you might lose.
Yeah.
But I think that also puts you into a mindset too, where you can kind of be unburdened and just trade.
Exactly. Yeah. What is a word of encouragement that you would give a trader that's on their journey? They are literally frustrated with the fact that they just have not gotten trading to click. And we've gone through different things and we've talked about a few different things that could cause a trader to be a little frustrated. But what encouragement would you give them? Like, what words of advice, what practical things would you say?
Practical things.
Yeah.
Well, besides giving yourself grace and that it's okay to not see progress right away and not to be so difficult or hard on yourself. But then taking a realistic look and being honest with yourself about, does the stuff that you're studying make sense to you? And if it doesn't, being willing to pivot and look towards something else. But I would say the biggest thing for me is probably giving yourself grace. I think we all are too hard on ourselves and we expect like professional results when you still a amateur, you know, or you haven't necessarily had the opportunity to put in the time and the hours necessary to see the type of results that you're looking for. So I would say keep going. I mean, this is a very powerful investment vehicle and an investment tool. The potential is limitless. So never give up. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but for me, it was never like quitting wasn't an option. Taking a break was, but quitting wasn't an option. Just because of the potential. Like, where else do you have the opportunity to grow your money the way that you do with this skill set?
That's facts. Have you ever thought about writing a book?
No.
No?
I haven't.
You have not?
What you mean? Like
yeah, like writing a book about trading.
Oh, no, I haven't. The only book I have is a little ebook, patterns and how I've used them in trading. But
oh, really? You have an ebook?
I do.
Where can you get that ebook?
I don't even remember the address, Calvin. It's in my signature for the YouTube videos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was something else that when I started trading, people were using it and it didn't make sense to me. But as I continued to build and grow, like now I can see, oh, it fits in, you know. Yeah. So once you get a little bit better and you get more experience, things start to align and make sense for you, I think, personally. But
yeah, I think it does too.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I think is trying to make money quick. And that's
so
something,
as far as big, how? Like, you think that that's a long-term sustainable thing or no?
No, of course not.
Okay.
No. Like, that's one of the biggest mistakes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That I think makes a trader frustrated.
Yes.
Like, going back to the question,
Absolutely.
like when you feel frustrated, it's like quick. Like, one thing for me is I knew that the profitability or the aha moment wasn't going to come quick. So that's why I embrace going through the different phases of, okay, I tried this for a certain amount of time.
And it didn't work.
It didn't work. So I'm okay with bouncing around. But it's the point where, like, the thing that hindered me was I was keeping that baggage from the last strategy with me, which was hindering me from locking into the new thing. You know what I mean? So that was my problem. Like, I couldn't let go. Like, I would still bring some of the stuff that I was doing before with me when I was learning something new. But I kind of always understood that, like, yo, it ain't gonna come quick. Because if it did, everybody would have been here already and stay here.
But that's why I say, and give yourself, because obviously you gave yourself grace and you had patience to work through the process to be able to get where you are now and being successful with
but I'm trying to get to where you at, though. Like being at that place, like just being at that place where you just like you're able to place a trade
and let it go.
I'm in it. I'm moving on with my day. You set your limits, buy limit, sell limit, and you move on with your day. Do you still think about it though?
Most often, no. But are there times? Yes.
Okay.
When I don't have anything going on or anything to do, yeah. But when my day is filled and I got stuff to do, I don't have to worry, you know, because I forget about it. Honestly, forget about it. And then remember, let me go look and see what happened, you know. But I think that goes back to what you talked about before, being able to be comfortable with potentially losing, you know, like it's not going to make or break you, right? And you working on a systematic approach, you know that if you continue to use the approach of, like I use 3-to-1, so at least every trade I'm taking has to be at least 3-to-1 or more. And if I follow that approach throughout my week or throughout a month or throughout 2 months, I know the averages is going to work in my favor. But you have to stick to that system in order for it to work. And that's why I'm comfortable with leaving trades alone, because it's not going to be the end of the world, you know?
That's
true. I just find a different setup. And if I took a loss last week or 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks in a row, I understand that the process and the system that I use, like, it'll make up for it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
And you have conviction.
What you mean?
Like, you have complete confidence in what you're doing.
Oh.
You've experienced it.
Yeah.
You're convicted inside that, hey, my process works.
I
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and that's what people like want to rush to a real account and out of demo. And it's like, stay in demo until you can get to the point where you know without a shadow of a doubt that I know when price comes here, then this is supposed to happen. And if it doesn't mean that I took a bad trade. It just means that it didn't work. And it's not always going to work, which I think is part of the realization that a lot of people have to have too. Just because, you know, I know my system most times works, it's not always going to work. And that's okay too.
So true.
Yeah.
That's so true. But it's hard for us to admit that we're wrong.
Is it?
For me, it is sometimes. You know what I mean? Like you know, you put your time into your system. You're like, man, if I get in, everything lines up. It should go. And then when it don't go, sometimes it make you question. Well, is what I'm doing really that effective? You know what I mean?
Do you go back and think about your process and where you may have messed up, or if you did not mess up, what other outside factors contributed to why it didn't work?
There you go. But that's why you're Casey Jackson.
Oh, Lord.
You know, and that's why we just trying to, like we here just trying to get game from you. You know what I mean? That's why we trying to get some game from you. So, oh my goodness, man. So, like, do you ever have a moment where you look at just who you've become, what you have achieved so far, and you just say, well done, Casey, to yourself?
No.
Wow.
I don't. I always think there's room for improvement. Like, and you sitting here talking about me like I'm just, and I'm like, I go through some of the similar things you do too, but I don't.
Yeah, but you don't act on them though.
There's always room to get better. I'm always evaluating and reevaluating, what I could do to improve. So.
Yeah, but you don't show that you like, I don't know, like it just seems like you have your way and you are committed to that way.
I am.
So you may be having the same thoughts that me and some of the viewers have, but you just keep it together. Like, and we trying to figure out how you do that. How you do that? You know what I mean?
Like I said, you gonna win some and you gonna lose some. It's just a part of the game.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you are a bad trader.
Yeah.
Like, no, you funny.
We want to make money all the time, Casey.
I would love to make money all the time. And I don't. And you know what I've gotten into the habit of doing too? So I post the analysis videos. And so, sometimes they right. I would say a lot of times they're right, but sometimes they're wrong. you know, and so people can see that it's not always perfect. I even got into the habit of posting the trades that I got wrong and explaining to people why I think it went wrong, you know, so it's not just winning trades that you're seeing all the time. Like, oh, dang, she made this projection and it didn't play out. And she posted about it and told us it didn't work, you know. So, no, I don't. I'm a work in progress. And I'm always looking to get better. So, but I do think I've grown over the past 7 years.
You acknowledge that?
Yes, I have grown. And where I am now is definitely not where I started. So I can acknowledge that, but no, I don't.
You don't toot your horn?
No.
Why not?
No.
You gotta celebrate yourself sometimes.
But I think I do that in every aspect of my life.
Okay.
You know, even in my professional work, people say that, or when I present at city council and they like, oh my God, like, I think that's just my personality. So,
who is in your corner, being your support system when you need some encouragement?
When I need encouragement, you know, my mom has become my best friend. And maybe about 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have said that. We are very much alike. But my mother was actually one of the first people who encouraged me to try to trade. Even though she is very risk averse, I think sometimes she may see a little bit of herself in me and things that she's wanted to do and may not have necessarily pursued. And so she encourages me to do those things.
That's fire.
So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
My mama is my BFF.
That's so dope. That's
she is. But we talk like 4 or 5 times a day. You know, when I have an idea of something I want to do or something that I've accomplished, or she is the person.
She's the go-to.
Yeah. And
Mama
when I need
to
pick me up, she's the person. Yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mama Jackson. For sure.
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Casey, this has been great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you
me.
for coming back.
Thank
where
you.
can we follow you and where can we get connected with you online?
Okay. Well, I'm on YouTube under Casey Jackson, and then on Instagram it's Casey Jackson _.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Forex Beginner Podcast. Casey Jackson blessing us today. Great conversation. It wasn't even an interview. It was a good catching up conversation here. Hope you were blessed by it. Listen, as always, I look forward to running into you at the bank one day. You cannot meet me there. You got to beat me there. When I pull up, you should be walking out, duffel bag on your shoulder, big smile on your face. That's our way of saying we all are going to be successful. And just take care. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Peace. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Another one.